Hi. Woohoo! Let's go. Second call of May, JSEMP 2024. Our global theme throughout this year is called Activating Our Pillars of Light, the journey from ego pride to soul sovereignty. So from egoic pride, like to soul sovereignty, really standing in our light, standing in the being that we are. And what we're doing for the first half of the year. Okay, sorry, I'm in a place where electricity can go out anytime. So the first half of the year, we're really working on expanding the energy in our field. So January, we were working on the ascending and descending energies. February and March, we worked on the right and left side of the body, just the concept of the potential and its actualization. And April and May, we have been working on the front and the back of the auric field, which represents the emotional, how we enter into life through emotions, and the back of the chakras are the will centers. And then for fun, since we're here to have fun anyways, what I've been doing in the second month of one theme is we're doing hairline work, and then on the second call, core star work. So we did hairline work 2 weeks ago. Tonight we're going to do core star work. If there's one thing I learned last year, if someone's like, if there's one thing I learned last year and the year before, as we went into core star work and hairline, is that we can never do too much of it. You know, these are such deep levels of our being, and we don't receive a lot of information about that. You know, like we're in this 3D world that's been evolving at a kind of frequency consciousness scale between 190 and 210 for thousands and thousands of years. The animal instincts, the emotions are hijacked a lot by animal instincts. We're in a fear band frequency that involves a certain level of thought, a certain content of thought, and we're all kind of like swimming around in that and trying to trying to get up and not drown in other people's fear and just the fear in the collective. Us learning to stand as pillars is about being able to be a pillar of light in that collective unconscious ocean that's still very fear-based, and be able to stand as a conscious being that has reconnected to the deeper levels of him herself, in order to be able to just not only shine that into the world, not only, you know, beam that into the collective unconscious and affect it like that, but also to be able to transmute some of these energies. So this is not a thing of like, oh, let me just beam some light on you and then you'll feel better, you know. As we go deeper and deeper into this work and we start understanding what quantum blah 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 science terms that they use now, we are coming into contact with understanding something really, really, really deep and fundamental. You don't cause anything to happen. You don't cause anything. 3D world is all about cause effect. You know, there's a start and a finish. Something starts, it's imperfect, and then by the time it's done, then it's perfected. And then, so this whole concept of like, I'm doing things, it's affecting something, it's making it grow, and then I'm na 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 na. It is an illusion that functions at the level of the 3D mind because it's linear. Our goal is to connect deeper and deeper to the parts of us that are non-linear. And then it's a whole other ball game. It's a whole other ball game. Things like, you know, law of attraction, stuff like that. They try to tap into it, but they are still making it a cause effect thing. And it's not fully true. So as we work with core star energy, we tap into something that is way deeper and way above anything linear. And yeah, so we're going to have fun dipping into that field. But I want to talk a little bit about I want to talk a little bit about understanding this, understanding the concept of emergence. I had a mentor for a couple of years, and that's pretty much everything he's about, emergence, the emergence process. And it's this incredible understanding that everything's already there. All the potentials of everything are already there. And depending on what you focus your attention and intention on, and based on what in the field is ready to emerge, you know, that double action of where you're coming from, your karmic proclivities, and your willingness to focus your attention and your intention, to focus your being and your consciousness onto something, will allow that potentiality that's already in the field to emerge. Now, this is tricky because then we're like, oh, I made that happen. And it's not completely true. You becoming the frequency that matches that and having an intention of wanting to actualize something will make it actualize. But it doesn't mean it doesn't mean you did that. You participated to that. You aligned with a field through which a potential actualized itself. You offered the gift of your consciousness to an emerging process. Like that, this is like a different way to understand reality. And it's kind of important that we tap into that more and more, because it is exhausting to think that you have to like concentrate and do things or else nothing will manifest. It's like, it is exhausting to think that we have to do all of this ourselves, and we have to like kind of like fight in that thing and make things happen, you know? And I want you to remember, a lot of the back of the chakras, the will centers, they're kind of like, we have a tendency to think like that because we have been raised like that. The entire society tells us that you got to make things happen, you got to work hard, you got to this, you got to that. And if, as much as possible, don't feel too much, because then, you know, you're like, like, the problem with that is that is not how we come into alignment with the emergence process. The emergence process implies that everything's already there. Every single potential you could ever manifest is already within you. You're not building it. You're not making it. It's already there. The question is, can you come into your consciousness and experience your non-linear reality, and from here hold an intention? So can you imagine us as pillars of light, once we've got, you know, our field like just flowing, everything's flowing nicely, and all we're doing is sending an intention. Sending it, this is still a problem. As soon as I say sending, it means there's a sender and a receiver. Even that's tricky. It's very hard to talk about stuff like this because it doesn't function with the subject and an object. And if you go high enough in consciousness and you start entering, like deeply entering the level of the hairline and the level of the core star, it's like there isn't really a subject and an object anymore. There isn't really a cause and an effect. There is an emerging process that's always going on. It's always going on. And all of it is perfect. Every single state and stage and phase that it goes through, it's all perfect. There's no such thing as like, okay, so this is a seed and we're going to plant it, and then it's going to become a little plant. And then eventually there's going to be a little rosebud that's going to form. And eventually that little rosebud is going to open and become a flower. So we could be in the place where it's like that seed is the incomplete, imperfect represent expression of that budded flower. So like, you see how we're like, that's 3D time, it's 3D logic. And it's not true. Every single phase and stage of that is perfect as it is. The seed is perfect as it is. It contains all the potential. It's perfect as it is. The little plant starting, it's perfect as it is. It's not an imperfect version of the bud of the bloomed flower. So imagine if you can start applying that to yourself. Because it's like, oh my God, we're constant, our ego is so good at that idea of like, I'll get better. I'm going there. Once I'm there, I'll have fulfilled whatever, you know? And, you know, I'm starting from here where I'm, depending on your ego, I'm starting from here where I'm a piece of shit, you know, and I'm going to like do all that work. I'm going to work really hard and I'm going to make people this and that and that and that, trying to control outcomes so that I get to this place and then everything will be okay. So no, everything is already perfect now. Now. So as we play with the core star, that's what we're tapping into. As we play with the hairline, we tap into that in another way. What we see is there is the soul longing coming in, and there is the earth resources you need to make that happen. And all that is happening as one thing. There's no sequence. It's not this happens, then this, then this, then that. So if that doesn't happen, it means I didn't do that part right. It's all one thing. Another name for it is just non-dual awareness, non-linear awareness. Everything is now. Everything is now. There's so much I want to say about this. It's kind of like, it would have to be like a 3-hour, you know, 3-hour academic talk almost, because it's incredible to start understanding that, you know, like quantum physics is kind of an understanding it. They're kind of like Heisenberg principle, like, oh, by me looking at something, it's changing how it's going to manifest itself, right? So that's about the waves and the particles. And basically what that's saying is, if I apply my attention and my intention, if I bring the field into the field, my attention and my intention, it changes what I'm looking at. It changes the behavior of what I'm looking at. And like, I think they call it the collapse of the wave, which means that the wave is kind of like all the potentials, all the things that could be, and then all of a sudden, by honing in on it, that wave all of a sudden becomes a particle. It becomes something. Does it mean it wasn't a particle before? Is there a cause effect where the wave became a particle? No, because this is the stop looking at it, it'll become a wave again. So it's just emerging and unfolding and transitioning from one state to another based on whether or not you're qualifying the field. It's kind of trippy. There's a whole program you can buy too, that's based on 5 months of this mentorship program that's called Ascension Particle Activations. And I can't recommend enough doing it to those that are in the program. You've already done them, but to redoing them, because we are officially in this period from April to October where solar flare activity is like jacked right up. And that's one of the particles, the solar particles, right? So as you do that work with the ascension particles, which is all about opening up physical and energetic doorways through which you absorb these waves as particles, it's just, you're going to amplify the upgrades going on, and it's going to help you stand even more as a pillar of light, undisturbed by the lower frequencies in the field, which, incredibly enough, some of the things you're going through in your own life, whether it be, you know, whatever, physical pain or emotional dynamics or thoughts that are like running around in your head, that Okay, well, I don't want to freak you out, but it's like 95% of those aren't even yours. 95% of the thoughts roaming around in you aren't yours. 95% of the emotions aren't yours. 95% of the sensations aren't yours. You're bathing in a field. And the more we do work to clear our field, the more we're able to feel. The more you're able to feel, the more you can actually offer to these things the frequency of your consciousness, looking at it from a neutral, benevolent gaze, of allowing it to be there and elevate and transform. Transform simply by you gazing at it, just like that wave becomes a particle simply because someone's looking at it. So the strength of intention, of intentional work. Like the hairline, please come back to that regularly. It's so important that we understand your intent. Your attention and your intention are literally the two most powerful tools. The two most powerful tools you have at your disposal to transform your life. Not because you're going to go and move things around and construct the life of your dreams or whatever. No, because you're going to gaze at the field and allow the potentials to emerge by being a lucid, conscious actor and vessel of light in that process. So, core star work at that level is very, very, very strong, because we are entering with the hairline and the core star, we are entering the levels of your being from which your humanoid form, your psyche, your physical body, from which all of those came into being. They emerged from these deeper levels. And these deeper levels are not bodies. There's no head and arms and legs. There's no auric field. There's no energy body. We're way, way, way deeper than that. So already the hairline is like we're working with, feeling a golden thread with a soul seat emanation, and the 10-10 under the belly button. It's like a ball, red ball through which you bring up the earth resources you need. So already that we're like working at a very abstract level of like, I am a thread of gold, a thin thread of gold that's connected to the Godhead and connected to the earth. With the core star, we're going even deeper than that. We're going even deeper than that. There isn't even a thread or a line or anything about being connected to a top or a bottom or a right or a left. We're going into the level, the level of your essence, of your pure essence. We say the essence self, but it's tricky. If you really understand what that self is with a capital S, and you really reach the levels of enlightenment involved with truly embodying your big self, there is no self. You are the field. You are everything happening in it. So it's always a bit of a paradox to go there, but let's still use the paradox because we need to. This core star level is your unique, individuated God essence. Completely unique to you. I'm just tapping into it a little bit before I keep talking. It is about 3 finger length above your belly button. And this is the level of your being that there's no deeper level to your being than that. You're basically a star. Like you're like this kind of pulsating orb. Forget about arms and legs and bodies. And it is from this level, some of you know this because we've done many calls about this in the last couple of years. This is the level of your being that is the pure light. It is indestructible. Nothing can be done to it. It can never be hurt. It was there before and will be there way after any forms cease to exist. or came into existence, the only thing the core star wants, which is really not the right word because that would involve it thinking it's separate and not everything, is to create more light. It is the pure impulse of creation, the pure impulse of creating more light. And the way more light is created is kind of this emergence process principle I was talking about. If you would look at the core star, it looks something like a bunch of beams emanating from everywhere. And these beams are going out into the world. Okay, so they're going through these levels of your being. They're going through into the hairline, and they're going into the auric field to become things in the physical world, right? So there's like all this process of kind of quantum jumping from one level to another. So an example, I like using examples that seem a little bit ridiculous, from a lasagna to a piece of art to a child. It is an impulse to create and bring it forth. It goes from the core star level and quantum jumps into the hairline, which is your intentional field, which is you, the soul level of you. That's like, this is what I long to create. This is what I long to create in this world. So the intention gets set. Boom. We've just made the wave become a particle of your specific soul. And then from there, okay, intentional field, got it. Then it quantum jumps, it quantum leaps into the auric field, which is your psycho-emotional makeup, your personality, how you interact with things emotionally at the will level, at the feminine and masculine qualities, like all these levels we're working on in the aura. It goes through that. And that's the very unique way you're going to create it. Your lasagna, whatever, is going to be different from someone else's, all the way to the point of actually, boom, this is it. This is the physical thing. I have it right here. It's a piece of art, or it's a lasagna, or it's a beautiful child. And from here, you gaze upon what you've created. This is a super important part of the process. You gaze upon what you've created. You take the time to look at it, to see it, to appreciate it. But then gets a little bit tricky because our ego likes to consider that almost everything it did is not good enough and blah, blah, blah. And then this is the natural impulse. It goes out, 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 out. We get to the creation. It's a moment of like stillness and silence. And it's like gazing at it like, wow. And then the next momentum comes in where it wants to create more light. That energy now needs to come back through the levels. It needs to come back through the auric field. It needs to be able to be received by our psycho-emotional reality and functioning dynamic. It needs to be able to get back into the hairline, into that intentional field of like, I did it. My intention is complete. And then back into the core star, where if we could see it, I think it almost looks like a kind of an explosion, because as that creative impulse that went all the way to physical reality and came all the way back into the deepest level of the essence, that's where new light is created. It's funny to talk about that because we're kind of like, we can't, something about, nothing can be created. That's not completely true. A lot of the darkness, a lot of the shadow can be transmuted into light. And that's what we're doing when we are allowing ourselves to bring our creations all the way back into our core star. We create more light. You create more light. That light becomes an attractor field. And I don't want to talk about this too much right now, but it becomes an attractor field. And think about bugs and they're attracted to light. Yeah, well, they go towards it and then they get zapped out of existence when they touch the light. So that's also part of our work in becoming pillars of light. To be able to have anything coming at you and be able to simply receive it with such a high frequency that you transmute it in real time. I don't know if you've ever been around someone that has a super high frequency aura. You know, when you go near them, it transforms you. And it's not because they didn't cause it. They weren't like, oh, I'm going to send energy in you and that's going to change you. No, it's just the frequency of field that they're embodying, and you coming close to them and touching that field just brings that potential that's already in you up, up to par. So, my God, that's so awesome. And there's something that's really misunderstood about being here on Earth. It is incredible to be here. It is incredible to have a physical body. It is incredible that we are pure essence, and we have brought the impulse of creation into creating an intentional field, right? A soul complex with memories and longings, and into boom, a psycho-emotional, energetic field and a physical body. Wow. Wow. It's like we don't realize this, but that's like master level creation stuff. And we're we're so asleep that we think it's like, ah, it sucks being here. It's so dense, it's so horrible. And like I want to go there. You cannot get the level of work you can get done out there floating around as energy as you can here in a physical body, floating in a sea of consciousness with a bunch of people calibrating at different levels, from high frequencies to low frequencies, and getting to interact with them almost on a daily basis. If we understood even a glimpse, if we understood just a little glimpse of how lucky we are to be experiencing this, especially like with everything going on right now with the flares on the increase of consciousness and the 3D to 5D transition and the third density to fourth density metamorphosis going on, like, oh, I think it would be a lot easier to connect to the sacredness that we get to be remembering ourselves as in density. It's like, it's a lot of people just want to get out, you know, they want to astral project, and they want to go over there and they want to do this and they want to do that. And it's like, you're here to bring, you are here to allow the lower density energies to increase in frequency. A cute way to say it is you are here to spiritualize matter. You're not here to be in matter and try to get out of it. You're here to bring these higher frequencies in. So once again, for me, that pillar work, that's what I want. I want us bringing in, embodying the higher frequencies and emanating them simply into the field. It's all already there. It's all already there. It just needs to be actualized. And it is actualized by us simply choosing to gaze and have attention and intention focused on seeing that emergence. That's all creation needs to bring something from a wave to a particle, from a potential to an actualization, from, you know, an emerging and then unfolding and then metamorphosis and then back in the field. And it's beautiful. It's so beautiful. Well, let's play with the core star tonight. Oh, let's see if I want to say anything else before. Nonlinear awareness. Let's go in there. Now, one last thing I want to say is like, make your life a walking meditation. You know, sure, we go on a call like this and we do some of the work, But really, your goal is to be able to embody that nonlinear awareness all the time, with every step, with everything you look at, with every breath you take. And we're not, this is not work. It's not like, I need to concentrate it. No. It's about coming back to what you are, a non-dual, non-linear field of awareness in which things are emerging, coming into the world and transforming, becoming something else. It's all super dynamic. It's all happening all the time. It's all already there. There's no work to do really other than attention and intention and just being the field, being the consciousness. So, yes. I'm going to go into the meditation. To you on YouTube who has had a chance to watch this video, if you want to come play with us, feel free to reach out. There's a link in the description where you can book a 45-minute call with me. And we can get to know each other and see if you're a good fit.